Ready to dive deep. Today, we're getting into the nitty-gritty of the Arabic script.
And it's a big one. We're talking the second most used writing system on the planet. Second only to the one we use for English.
Wow. Second place in a global alphabet competition. That's got to be a lot of people using this system every day.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking a huge chunk of the world, not just in how many folks are writing with it, but in how many different countries, too.
Okay, color me intrigued. But before we get into its modern-day takeover, let's rewind a bit. History lesson time. Where did this writing system even come from?
Well, imagine a family tree, but for languages.
Okay, I'm picturing it. Lots of branches.
Exactly. So for the Arabic script, we can trace things way back to the Nabatean alphabet.
Nabatean, huh? Rings the bell. Vaguely.
They were an ancient Arab tribe, and their alphabet, heavily influenced by Aramaic. Think of Aramaic like the influencer of its day.
Okay, I like where this is going. So everyone was borrowing from Aramaic.
You got it. In fact, the Syriac alphabet, still used today, also has its roots in Aramaic.
Wow, it's like Aramaic is the cool older sibling everyone wanted to be like.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Remember those roots we talked about? Well, they go even deeper. That same Aramaic influence, way back when, also eventually gave us the Phoenician alphabet.
Hold on, Phoenician? As in the alphabet that led to Hebrew and Greek?
The very same.
Wow, this is blowing my mind. Greek, which then influenced Cyrillic and Latin. That's a serious family reunion.
Right. Talk about interconnectedness. The Arabic script's family tree is basically intertwined with writing systems across the globe.
It's like finding out you're distantly related to royalty. But okay, ancestry aside, I want to get into the nuts and bolts of this script itself. What makes it tick?
Well, at its core, Arabic script is what we call an abjad. It's different from alphabets like English.
Different how?
Think of it this way. English puts equal emphasis on consonants and vowels. You need both to make a word work. But in abjad, it mainly focuses on consonants.
So vowels just vanish.
Not exactly. They're often implied. You can figure them out based on the context, the other letters around, and your understanding of the language.
Huh. That's pretty wild. Like when you shorten words in a text message, dropping vowels because you know your friend's going to get it. Except this is a whole writing system built on that idea.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really cool. This whole abjad thing isn't just about how the language works. It actually shows up in how the script looks, too.
Okay, you've got to elaborate on that one.
Think about it. The cursive style of the script. The fact that there are no capital letters. Those aren't just random design choices. They're directly related to this whole idea of an abjad, of consonants taking center stage.
So form follows function, love it. But can we get visual here? How do these Arabic sounds actually translate into written characters?
Absolutely. You actually included a great visual aid in our materials for today. If we take a look at this representation of the Arabic alphabet, Expert Speaker begins to pronounce the name of each character in the overview section of the source material. The host should make a few positive affirmations like, wow, and that's cool, to let the listener know the expert speaker is showing the visual of the alphabet with the pronunciation underneath, but the pronunciations themselves should not be transcribed.
Okay, that's super helpful. Seeing it and hearing it really makes a difference. But you mentioned earlier that this script is used for way more than just the Arabic language, right?
Oh, absolutely. And that's where things get extra fascinating.
Lay it on me. How do they make it work when other languages have totally different sounds?
Think of it like this. Languages have adapted the Arabic script to fit their needs. They add new letters or diacritics.
Diacritics, refresh my memory.
Those little marks you sometimes see above or below letters. Think accents in Spanish or louts in German.
Ah, right, gotcha.
They use these additions to represent sounds that aren't in standard Arabic. It's like a linguistic toolbox, borrowing and tweaking tools to get the job done.
I like that. So they're remixing the script, keeping the core elements, but adding their own personal flair.
Exactly. And a great example of this is, well, the P sound.
As in pizza. Yeah, pretty common sound.
You'd think so. But standard Arabic doesn't have it. Can you believe that?
No P sound. That's wild. So how do they say it, like pizza?
They'd use a B sound instead. But here's the thing, a lot of languages that adopted the Arabic script, they do have a distinct P sound, so they had to come up with ways to write it.
Okay, I am officially hooked. So we've got this adaptable script, a missing P sound. Where in the world can we find it in action?
Well, let's start with some familiar territory. The Middle East and Central Asia. You've got languages like Persian, Pashto, Urdu, all using the Arabic script, But then you've also got lesser known but equally fascinating ones like Kurdish, Uyghur, even Turkmen, each one putting their own spin on the script.
It's like this script is woven into the fabric of these cultures.
Totally. And it doesn't stop there. Venture into South Asia and you'll find languages like Punjabi, Sindhi, all using the Arabic script. And then, get this, there's a language called Arwi,
Arwi, that's a new one.
spoken in Sri Lanka and parts of southern India. And it's a total fusion language, a blend of Arabic and Tamil.
Whoa, a linguistic mashup. That's so cool. And they write it using the Arabic script, too.
You know it. It just goes to show this script has traveled far and wide.
Speaking of traveling, what about Southeast Asia?
Ah, Southeast Asia. That's where we meet Jawi.
Jawi, tell me more.
Basically, it's the Malay language written in the Arabic script. You'll find it in Brunei, Malaysia, parts of Indonesia. Super cool example of how this script went beyond borders.
It's like they took this script and made it their own.
And that's the beauty of it. Every region, every language brings something unique.
Before we get too far, I have to ask, what about Africa? Huge continent, tons of languages.
You're right. And while the Arabic script does have a presence in Africa, it's a bit complicated.
Complicated how?
It's mainly used in some West African languages like Hausa and Fulfulde. But for a lot of the continent, Latin-based scripts have taken over, especially when it comes to education.
Makes sense. The legacy of colonization and all that. But it's still a reminder of how language and writing are always evolving. Speaking of evolving, were there any other places where the Arabic script was once big but isn't so much anymore?
Absolutely. It's like a hidden chapter in language history. Do you know that African Sorans, Swahili, even Ottoman Turkish, the language that came before modern-day Turkish, they all used the Arabic script at one point.
Whoa, Ottoman Turkish. That's a blast from the past. Didn't Turkey make a big shift away from the Arabic script?
Exactly. Back in 1928, they decided to adopt a Latin-based script, part of most modernization push.
Linguistic plot twist. It really shows how writing systems are tied to culture and politics, huh? But, okay, before we move on from our world tour, I have to ask about something. Calligraphy.
Ah, yes. You can't talk about Arabic script without talking about the incredible art form it inspired. Arabic calligraphy is just stunning. It's like they elevate writing to a whole new level.
Right. Each stroke is like a work of art. But tell me more. What are some of the styles that really stand out?
Oh, there's so many.
Oh.
The one you've got to know is Naskh, known for being super legible, great for printing. Then there's Nastaliq, super elegant and flowy, often used in Persian and Urdu calligraphy. And of course, we can't forget Kufic,
Kufic.
one of the oldest styles. Bold, geometric, really distinctive look.
Wow, so much diversity. It really speaks to how versatile the script is.
And that versatility shines through in how the script itself has been modified to work for other languages.
Okay, now you have to give me the details. How do you even go about modifying a script?
Remember those diacritics we talked about? The marks above or below letters, they're key. By adding them to existing Arabic letters, languages could create new sounds.
So clever. It's like giving the script a voice makeover.
Exactly. And you want to see this in action. We actually have some great examples right here in our materials. Take a look at this table of additional letters in other languages. Expert Speaker continues to highlight a few more interesting examples from the Table of Additional Letters in Other Languages section. Again, do not transcribe the pronunciations themselves, but use the host to keep the listener engaged with affirmations like, oh, wow, that's fascinating, or that's clever.
You know, it seems like they often use those diacritics with existing letters to create similar sounds. Like, if this letter already makes a K sound, let's add a little something to make it a G sound.
That's a great way to put it. And it shows just how creative and resourceful these language communities were. They really made the script their own.
It makes you realize just how connected languages and cultures really are. It's fascinating.
Right. And it makes you wonder about the future. What's next for the Arabic script in our increasingly globalized world?
Ooh, now that's a question. But first, we're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned because we'll be back to dive even deeper into the world of the Arabic script right after this.
And we're back, still swimming in the fascinating world of the Arabic script.
Where we left off, you were about to unveil more about the significance of all this. We've covered its history, its global reach, and even gotten a taste of its artistic side with calligraphy.
You're right, we've been busy. And speaking of calligraphy, I'm curious, how did this visual tradition evolve alongside the script itself?
It's a great question. because it's not like it just stayed the same throughout history. As the script traveled, calligraphy changed too. Different regions added their own flair, their own aesthetics.
A blend of tradition and new influences. I like it.
Exactly. Think about the Nastaliq style we talked about before, the one often used for Persian and Urdu.
Right, the elegant one.
Well, that style actually came from a style called Taliq, emerged in Persia centuries ago.
Wow, so there's a whole history there. Oh, yeah. Over time, calligraphers kept refining and embellishing Taliq. Eventually, it became the Nastaliq we know today.
So from Taliq to Nasaliqa calligraphic evolution. But it wasn't just artistic taste driving these changes, right? I'm guessing practicality played a role too.
Oh, for sure. Think about it. Paper became the main writing material. That totally changed the game for calligraphers.
Had to adapt to the new tech.
Exactly. And Nastaliq, with its flowing lines, perfect for paper. It's no wonder it became so popular for books, manuscripts, all those important documents.
It's amazing how even artistic traditions are influenced by the tools of their time. But I gotta ask, we've talked a lot about languages aiding letters to the script, but were there ever times when they got rid of stuff? Like a linguistic decluttering, haha.
Interesting way to put it. I mean, it's rare to completely ditch letters, but simplification definitely happens. Sometimes languages evolve and their writing systems evolve with them.
Makes sense. Got any examples?
Let's take Ottoman Turkish. They used the Arabic script before switching to a Latin-based one, remember?
Right, back in 28.
So Ottoman Turkish borrowed a ton from Arabic and Persian, but it also had its own unique sounds that weren't in those other languages.
So they had to improvise.
Exactly. They created new letters, new diacritics, really made the script work for them.
It's like they gave the script a Turkish makeover, but then when they switched alphabets, poof, gone.
Pretty much. Those adaptations became a fascinating footnote in history. But it really highlights how language is always in flux,
Always changing, always influenced by bigger forces. Now, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier, the Abjad system.
Ah, yes. The heart of the Arabic script.
It's so different from alphabets like ours, where we need both consonants, A and D vowels. Can we dig a little deeper into how this Abjad thing actually works?
Absolutely. Imagine reading a text where most of the vowels are implied. You have to rely on context, on your knowledge of the language to fill in the blanks.
Sounds kind of tricky, to be honest.
It might seem that way at first, but for languages like Arabic, it's a system that's worked beautifully for centuries.
So it's all about trust. Trusting that the reader will be able to connect the dots.
In a way, yes. But it's not about making the language intentionally difficult. Context is key.
Okay, I can see that.
For example, take the root system in Arabic. Words are built from 3 consonants, and this structure gives you a strong foundation. You can often understand a word's meaning even without all the vowels written out.
It's a linguistic puzzle, but one that makes sense within the language itself.
Exactly. It's about the interplay between what's written and what's understood.
That makes sense. But okay, I have to ask, if vowels are often implied, does that mean they're never written in Arabic?
Ah, excellent question. Because you're right, there are times when you need those vowels to be crystal clear, especially in religious texts where accuracy is super important.
Right, you don't want any ambiguity there.
And that's where those diacritics come in handy.
Ah, our trusty diacritics. Back for round 2.
They can be placed above or below consonants to show the exact vowel sound. It's subtle, but makes a huge difference.
Little marks, big impact. I never thought about it that way.
And their importance goes even deeper when you think about the historical context. Standardizing vowel markings was a big deal.
I can imagine, especially for religious texts.
Exactly. Imagine the discussions, the debates that must have happened to make sure those texts were transmitted accurately.
Language really is intertwined with culture and belief, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it reminds us that even with standardization, there's always room for variation. Different regions, different communities might interpret things a bit differently. And that's okay. It adds to the richness.
It's amazing how something as seemingly basic as a writing system can be so complex.
It all comes back to why we're so fascinated by language, right? It's about so much more than just words and letters. It's a window into human history, culture, belief.
And speaking of stories, I keep thinking about those lesser-known languages we talked about earlier. The ones using the Arabic script that don't always get the spotlight. They have stories too, don't they?
Absolutely. Each one is unique. A testament to the power of language, to connect a community, to preserve its voice.
Okay, I'm ready for another adventure. Which lesser-known language's story are we diving into next? Southeast Asia calling. So many languages to explore, but I'm really drawn to the Malay language and its use of the Arabic script.
Ah, Jawi.
Jawi, right. It's like this whole other side of Malay, hidden in plain sight.
It's a unique part of Malay heritage, especially in places like Brunei, Malaysia, and Indonesia. More than just a historical curiosity, it's a living testament to the Arabic script's influence.
We've talked a lot about how dominant the Latin script is globally, especially in education. So how has Jawi managed to stick around?
It's a story of resilience, for sure. Think of it this way. While Latin-based Malay is the norm for official stuff in schools, Jawi has found a powerful place in faith.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
For a lot of Malay Muslims, Jawi isn't just a script. It's deeply tied to their religious identity. Used in mosques, religious schools, even for transcribing Islamic texts.
And it's like it's become a sacred script.
In a way, yes. And that connection is actually experiencing a revival.
A revival.
There's a movement to bring Jawi back into everyday life. Literature, poetry, even signs and online stuff.
Wow, it's like Jawi is reclaiming its space. It gives me hope that other scripts, especially ones tied to cultural identity, can thrive in our globalized world.
It really speaks to the power of language to adapt and evolve. It makes you wonder, could the Arabic script be heading for a global comeback?
Now, that's a thought. What could make that happen?
Well, its adaptability is a huge advantage. We've seen how it can be molded to fit any language. Plus, you can't deny the beauty of the Arabic script.
True. The calligraphy alone is mesmerizing.
And there's a growing number of Arabic speakers globally, which means more people are engaging with the script, seeing how it works, appreciating its beauty.
It's like a domino effect.
Exactly. It starts with language and grows into an appreciation for the culture behind it.
We've covered so much ground in this deep dive. From ancient origins to modern revivals, the Arabic script is a story of innovation, adaptation, and resilience.
It really highlights how writing connects us across time and space.
It does. So, for our listeners who are ready to keep exploring, what's a thought-provoking question we can leave them with?
Considering the historical impact of the Arabic script, its incredible flexibility, and its enduring artistic legacy, could we be on the verge of a global resurgence? Could it once again become a bridge between cultures?
It's a question that makes you think about the past, present, and future of language. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of the Arabic script. Until next time, keep those linguistic fires burning.